Chair. Thank you. Our next testifier is Martin Blackwell to comment on Bill 292. Aloha.
Aloha, my name is Martin Blackwell with Optimum Resource Management and the Rapid Resolution Center for Change. My background is in understanding the stress response and spending kind of my life devoted to that and working with this kind of elusive thing that you can't see, but that our whole life depends on and all of our resource management decisions depend upon. A lot of powerful things were said tonight, but especially when I talked about the vibroacoustic disorder, or whatever terms that was used for that. But that's like unseen. And so, to me, that's the most powerful thing that we need to start looking at, is that all of our decisions are made in our life based on the stress response that we can't even see. And so all of us are really at a great risk at any time of making a decision because it makes us feel more comfortable. We think that's good, because we do need air, food, water, things that make us comfortable. But my biggest concern is that really what isn't being looked at here is that the people that are involved in gathering these resources, they're so busy, potentially being caught up in what's comfortable, and this is good, and I'm gathering resources and I'm providing for my families, that they're really not taking the time to look at the impact of the decisions that they make. I went to a meeting a week or two ago when it was, and they were talking about the hydrogen plant, and the person who was giving the presentation seemed like a nice enough person and informed enough and a pretty aware person. But I asked him, I said, what's the explosive potential of the hydrogen with all those tanks in one spot? And he couldn't answer that question. So to me, so busy looking at what could be good up front and not looking at the potential impacts is one of our biggest weaknesses. And I hope that people will really take the time to slow down and do that. Another person raised another question about the pentane that geothermal uses and the hydrogen, and if they were to combine. And the person said, well, I don't know what that would perhaps cause. And so, to me, taking the time to slow down is the most important thing that we can do, to look at the information, look at the impact. And sometimes things are so simple in front of us. When it comes to the noise is an obvious concern that we have. It's an obvious concern for people's safety and for their well-being. So I would just hope that the council would take the time to make sure that the decisions that they're making, when we all lay our heads down in the evening and we put our head to rest, and the decisions we make during the day, just because we made a decision that made us comfortable does not mean it's the best decision. And this might be an uncomfortable decision that some of you have to make, and there might be powers that be and threats and different things. So I hope that you're able to go forward and make what might be a difficult decision, but to me, in the end, the truth speaks for itself. And this seems to be pretty much common sense. And I've appreciated your strength so far, and appreciate all you're doing for the community. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you. If I could ask Katrina, come forward. Our next testifier, Chair, please comment on tonight.
Coming back to Pahoa. I'm here on behalf of my island mom, who lives less than a mile away from, and on favor of the bill. I'm here also on behalf of my husband, who was protesting about this years and years ago. He was in the paper, an old picture of him. I'm here because, as you know, we passed a law called Peaceful Sky Laws Law Enforcement for the will of the people. And so, again, we're asking here tonight for the will of the people, for you to listen, all of you, to us.
Thank you. Thank you personally. If I could ask Bob Patrici to come forward to the table, please. Our next testifier is Katrina Lee. We speak in support of Bill 292. Aloha.
Aloha. Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman, for introducing this bill and proving over and over again that you're with the people and for the people. We really appreciate it, because I think we felt that we haven't been heard at all. In fact, Mr. Kanoy has vetoed our health bill, our emergency evacuation plan bill for the geothermal. So there's just a lot of corruption going on and not really allowing us to be healthy, safe, and sleep at night. It's ridiculous. So I'd also like to apologize to Native Hawaiians who practice, for Palo petitioners, to Tutupel and Mother Earth for still drilling into her. I'm sorry. Environmental Protection Agency in 2000 has issued a report where it stated everything that is wrong with Pahoa geothermal venture and the county with its ability to respond to an emergency, and nothing has been done since. None of the recommendations have been implemented. What I would like to point out is something that John also said, and thank you, John, even though I don't think he's here, is to all of those who are trying to put geothermal under the renewable energy definition. It is not renewable because, as John also said, if the ship doesn't come with pentane, there is no geothermal. If the oil doesn't come on ship, there is no help electricity. But there's always going to be sun for solar, and that is firm power, not the power that depends on the next ship coming in. That's all I have to say. Thank you so much, and I hope you're going to pass the bill.
Thank you very much for your testimony. Can I ask R.J. Hampton to come to the table, please? Our next testifier is Robert Patrici to speak, to make a comment on Bill 292.
I'm going to speak to column 8252 if I run out of time. So, aloha council. I really want to thank you again for coming to Pahoa. I really appreciate that. It's the second time. It's unprecedented. And we thank you, especially those that had come from Pahoa. So my name is Robert Patrici. I've lived with geothermal since 1981. So pretty much seen it all, and I understand this stuff pretty good. So, it's been stated that the main problem with this is that the plant's been put in the wrong place in the middle of a pre-existing residential community. And they did this over the objections of the community for all the reasons that we've been talking about the council here for the last 6 months or so. So I think it's fair to say that the community was right. The developer and the regulators have been wrong, and the community has paid a high price over the last 31 years. And the community's concerns, fears, objections have been proven valid, and promises of negligible or no impacts by regulators and PGV have been proven false. So I attended the meeting last week with Andrea Gill from DBED, Cardi Chang from DLNR, Paul Thompson was PGV for CEO, was attended by teleconference, and there were 2 Geothermex consultants. And the argument for DLNR, PGV, and Geothermex, DBED, Mr. Thompson gave against Bill 292 and the drilling ban was basically that it would be too dangerous to the community and employees of PGV to stop drilling once it started. So the question is that that was in contrast to what some of the Geothermex October 12, 2012 report titled Potential Effects of Restrictions on Nighttime Drilling of Geothermal Wells. The report supposedly investigated questions posed by the Department of DBED regarding the potential effects of restrictions on nighttime drilling. In the report, most of the issues were economic. And in particular, they said that they couldn't find an instance of where this has been done, where they stopped drilling at night. Well, if you look in there, on Appendix B, describe the results of literature research and similar bans, but it contradicts the GMX claims as they found no instances. It actually reads the sources link you will find in their own document, and the third item listed, Appendix B is a record of a decision for the Mount Baker Squalamy National Forest geothermal leases by its USDA Forest Service Superintendent dated August 2010 that limited drilling hours during nesting times of the marbled murrelet. And that is the item shown by the link in the second paragraph below. It says, in part, no surface use within 65 yards of old growth forest is allowed within 2 hours of sunrise and sunset during the time period from August 6th to September 15th for the purpose to avoid the disturbance of nesting marblets. I did not look at all the other links in Appendix B, but it appears to protect the bird drilling at night can be banned, so how can anyone argue to protect this community from 24 hours of sleep deprivation for months on end? There can be no ban. Why are the birds always protected and our community always sacrificed to PGV? I'll move on to the...
Don't be so much. Well, just 2 minutes on the table, not the communication.
Okay, well, I want to know where DBED, DLNR, GMX, and PGV were when the council passed Bill 256 to create a 1-mile safety zone and 257 to create the emergency response plan. You know, they fought us on those bills, they vetoed those bills, and they said that there was no need to have a 1-mile buffer zone. And now they're saying, we can't stop drilling because it's too dangerous. Well, which is it? They can't have it both ways, and they're threatening you guys. And I tell you, I have a lot of this stuff. I don't know how to get to this, but PGV is on thin ground. There's nothing in those permits that says they can specifically drill at night. You have legislative immunity. There, for corporation counsel to tell you that if you do this, you're going to be sued. Basically, what they're doing, they might as well just write PGV a check. They're inviting PGV to do this. That's not.
That's right.
Thank you, Bob.
Oh.
Thank you for that. Our next testifier is R.J. Hampton. Before R.J., if I could ask Chris Gonzalez to come to the table, please. Our next testifier is R.J. Hampton to comment on Bill 292. Pahoa.
Yes, I have to comment on the bill because I just truly, when I look at the bill from a legislative point of view, I just think it's not ready. I think that there's a little bit more work that needs to be done. And so I support the efforts, where we're going with it. Every time we are confronted, I just want to thank Sid Singer and his family for the research that they've done on it. I applaud that because that's the very core of what we're talking about, it's the unseen. I remember reading a very incredible physicist who warned us in 1947 that all high radiation caused mutations. And instead of us taking the warning, we started mutation sciences and mutated bacteria and all kinds of things and created all kinds of diseases because they were mutating using ultraviolet. So we see both sides of danger and opportunity. I went online to hear what the sound, because I never got a call and I never really got the sound of what it is that everybody was talking about. So there's a brave individual who went and videotaped and did all kinds of sound stuff and got the sound of a drill working, 30 blocks away from where he was, recording. And I heard sounds like I had never heard before, disturbing sounds, and you can hear them on the internet. All you have to do is just type in the sound of a drilling, and you yourself can get that feeling, and then know what it must sound like to be in a deep, deep REM sleep. And then all of a sudden have to be woken up, knowing you got to get up at 6 o'clock, feed the chickens, do whatever, and get to work. That you've been interrupted, circadian rhythms. See, we as a humanity have not gone far enough with all of the technology and knowledge that we know today about homeopathy and a little bit is more and too much is too much. And so as we begin to look at this whole thing, what Brenda said was very true. We can't do anything in retrospect. But if it is true that they must come to the table, pull up to the table and negotiate, then we expect them to negotiate from today's knowledge. Not on the past as to the credibility. And remember this, folks. The next time we let some people like this in our community, remember what I've been saying about politicians. It's also true about corporations. Credibility is not given, it is earned. And I doubt, with all the problems we have with that foolish thing up there on that hill, that they have earned our trust or have earned any credibility in this community. So therefore, it's time for you to do your job and to make sure the Corporation Council does their job to make sure that whatever it is that you pass as an ordinance is ironclad and that we don't get sacrificed to some little comma or a may or a must or a shall not in the right place. So please, this is your job. It's the only thing you're supposed to be doing. You're not supposed to be cleaning streets or bleeding hearts. You're supposed to be writing good legislation that we can carry into the 21st century and the 22nd century, and that your names are on bills that carry weight and that have protected your children and their children's children. Thank you very much.
Gregory Garcia, I'm going to pronounce your name correctly. Our next testifier is Chris Gonzalez to speak in support of Bill 292. Aloha.
Hi, yes, thank you. I am here to support this bill as far as it goes. Also, I've never spoken in front of, in this situation, but I feel like if I'm allowed to, I'd like to come here to speak from my experience and from my heart. And one thing I have to say is that I chose to be a parent. For one thing, consciously chose to be a parent. Once I chose to become a parent, I chose to move here to the Big Island. One of the main reasons is because I wanted to raise my children away from the grid and away from TV, away from the influences that teaching us that more is what we need, more that may never satisfy us, and meanwhile it's filling the dumps. I don't have prepared words right now, but I do want to say that I also know about a little bit about, well, I appreciate democracy, and I wonder, I'm thankful for any format where we're allowed to speak to people who have the power to help us, and I appreciate that attention. I know something about politics because my father spent 40 years of his life in my hometown in town politics. He fought, and I am so proud of my father who lived with so much stress every day because he was fighting the system. He stopped a computer chip factory from moving into our picturesque Gulf Hill dairy, and through his work and people who cared that got together, they bought that and turned it into a children's museum. And the company from California wanted to widen the road where we still have cobblestone streets. It's in New England. Through my father's lifelong work, with a lot of resistance, there's 6,400 acres in my hometown preserved forever. Hiking trails, estuaries. This was hard work that my father made a lot of sacrifice for. He didn't have a lot of attention for me, but I am so proud of what he did. And at the end of his life, throughout all the resistance that he went through, when he passed away here in Hawaii, which was his express wish, the church, our local church was filled, and everybody outside, there was, in the end of his life, there was so much support. I want to tell you that right now, temporarily, there might be some interests that are, but pride is an energy too, and it passes on to our future generations. And right now, pure nature is something that a lot of people can only see on TV because it's been taken away. The Big Island is a precious place because this is one of the last places that I know of. I've traveled around the world. This is one of the last places we can be I came here to possibly be an example to the world so that we can actually be an experimental example of another way. I've lived since I left college, 17 years old, without any grid. I'm 40, I'll be 47 in February, and I have lived that long without any grid. I don't think we need the progress that's being pushed on it. I think that it's all going to the waste, and our children are not satisfied, and they're jonesing for more, and we have everything we need. The sun comes up every day.
Thank you, Chris.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your testimony.